a place where you get the sight, sounds, smells, taste of my particular writer's life. Get rid of my nerdy glasses. And where you get the truth about the writer's life. Subscribe if you haven't already. Punch the like button. I'm punching my guest. Tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on one single exciting video. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you to go to the store, www.vinzandri.com, vinzandri.com, vinzandri.com. And you can also pick up my brand new Writer's Life Mindset course. It's not a course, it's a lecture series. And if you buy direct off the website, it's $20 less than the Zon. So grab it because you'll want to watch it again and again and again and again and again. It's very motivational, very inspirational. Speaking of which, we have a very special guest today. Her name is Mary Clark, Colonel Mary Clark. Do you still go by Colonel?
No.
Why not? I saw a state trooper last night at a bar, and he was a colonel. He's retired, and I call him Colonel.
There you go. I go by Mary at Gold Patrol 77.
Oh, tell us about Gold Patrol. What is that? Is that your newest venture?
My new business, fitness venture.
Right.
Where I'm training individuals, doing group classes, and I'm doing online live classes in the morning so you can work out in the comfort of your own home. 2% of your day invested in you. Get it done, out of the way.
All right. That's good. You can talk about that later. You can shill all that stuff. I want to know how a woman like you, who you're probably about 40?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, but I want to know how a woman so you did your 20 and then you got out.
No, I did 36 years.
All right. I knew that. I've known Mary for a while. She's helped me with some research on my books, and she's called out bullshit on a lot of my books, which is always funny. I got to remember not to smile.
Why, you missing a tooth?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I got sucker punched. Again. Yeah, no. It was rotten. Had to get pulled. But I'm getting a new one. So how did an attractive woman like you end up in law enforcement, and then even, as from what I understand, like the top female law enforcement officer in the state, or close to that, or something like that? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, back in 1986, I'm aging myself. I graduated from Buffalo State College to be a school teacher, and I wasn't really happy with that career choice. And I had a couple of friends that were troopers that I worked in a diner. And they came in and said, "Hey, Mary, do you ever think about being a trooper?" And back in 1986, there weren't a lot of female law enforcement officers, troopers out on the road. And I'm only 5'2", maybe 130 pounds. I'm like, I don't know. Can I do it? And I knew I wasn't happy with teaching. So I signed up and I took the trooper exam. And lo and behold, I did well enough. And I entered the academy in March of 1986, when women were still relatively new. Women came on the job in 1973. So,
and there probably were very few.
I think there might have been, we started out with maybe 20 in my class, and we graduated 11 or 12. But back in the day, in 1973 or 4, they had 4 females in that first class. Wow. And then the next class, he only had 1 female in an entire class of 120 men. So we've come a long way. We're still only about 10%, maybe a little bit more, of the total population of the troopers in the state of New York. But it's changing, and women can do anything now. And I guess
every time I've seen a state trooper, a dude, he's like 6'5". He's about around my height. 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, honestly, back in the day, there was a height restriction. I think you had to be over 6 foot,
5'8".
and then it went down to where you had to be able to hold the rifle over a troop car and be able to see over the troop car. And then they got away with that, and they did a height weight requirement. And so now, as long as you pass the exam, you have 60
Right.
college credit hours, you pass the fitness requirements and the psychological exam, you can become a trooper.
Oh, okay.
And we are offering, the state police, I'm retired now, but they are offering the exam, and you can sign up to be a trooper until October 1st. Take that exam, and within a year or so, you're close to $98,000.
Wow.
In a month.
Can I apply as a 59-year-old man?
No.
No.
Sorry. Oh. They just raised the age to 35, though.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All that established, all that stuff. Actually, this is my sword from when I was in military school. I was a captain.
You're a captain?
You outrank me.
Who outranks you?
You do. You do.
You gotta call me ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just joking.
So, you have really interesting stories about when you were a trooper. What was your first, first of all, the very first, I'm sure you remember this, the very first time you were given highway detail and you spot a speeder and you're like, uh-oh, I've already let like 7 go because I'm not, I'm nervous. I really don't want to, I'm nervous. What if, I'm going to get a hurt or something like that. Do you remember the first time you stopped somebody?
I do. I remember I feel bad for that individual because it took me about a half an hour to write them a ticket. It was very painful because I wanted to make sure that I did everything correctly.
Oh.
And yeah, I have a lot of good memories.
But were you afraid? Or anything like that?
No.
Did you take bribes?
Oh yeah, all the time. No.
Like when you went up to the window, if they said they put that with their license and they just say
actually,
and they say, I just want to be in compliance.
No.
This is Thailand money.
That happens, on TV.
Right. All right.
But in today's world, that never happened to me.
No,
I only worked the road 5 years.
All right. But so you wrote 5 years, and then you went on to work in narcotics.
Yeah. So I was a road trooper for 5 years, and then after that, I was appointed to investigator, and I did undercover narcotics for maybe 2 to 3 years.
So what was that like? What do you have any stories?
Yeah,
you're such a pretty little thing. I don't mean that by the way, I'm not trying to, when I say pretty little thing, I mean it respectfully.
You're either good at pretending to be someone
right.
you are not, or you're not. And so as an undercover, I was horrible. I tried. I remember being in the city of Rochester, and
that one was real bad, probably.
2 dime bags of crack, and the gentleman put 20 cents in my hand and told me to get my ass out of there.
Right.
He said it in other words.
Right.
But so I wasn't a great undercover, but that plays into the story later on. So I did that for about 2.5 years. At that time, narcotics for the New York State Police. I was in the community narcotics enforcement team, and we provided resources to the community, that communities that were having a drug or a narco issue that didn't have undercover investigators or people to investigate that type of crime. So then I left that unit and I went into a regular back room, and I did, investigations like burglaries and child abuse up to homicide.
Wow.
Did that for a while. And then after 9/11, they formed the terrorism detail, and I was put on the border as a liaison between Canadian authorities and the U.S., New York.
A lot of terrorists coming over the Canadian border?
Were there? I'm sure there were.
Yeah. Because isn't there an area that's not? I mean, it's just woods, right?
So New York State is separated by the St. Lawrence River, and we have an Indian reservation up there, which is sacred territory.
Right.
And I'm sure
I've written about that. Yeah.
you read about that. So good.
Yeah.
So then after that, I took a promotional exam for lieutenant and started moving up through the ranks. I went up to Raybrook, and then I came back to narco as actually the boss in charge of the narco unit. And it was good because when I came back, I understood that not everyone can be an undercover. Some people can play that role. Some people can run the investigation, and others can add support.
Excellent.
And then after that, the state sent me away to get my master's in criminal justice.
That's around the time I met you.
Yeah, I think so.
You were studying that. Yeah.
And then I got promoted to captain. I was in charge of a zone like of 100 plus troopers. And then I came back and was assigned to major, in charge of narcotics for the New York State Police across the state. And then I moved up to inspector in professional standards. And then ended up retiring as a colonel in charge of employee relations.
Excellent. Dick Moonlight and his buddy Fat Elvis in the new story I'm writing. It's just going to be a short one. They're investigating a guy who gets hit by a train on the railroad tracks. So it's based on a story that you told me. But would you like to share that with the audience? This is funny. This is one of the funniest stories I've ever heard.
It's not actually a funny story. It's a very
to me, it's a bad story. It's a funny story.
It's a good story from one of Vince's thriller books. But
yeah, one of my demented.
I got called to a pedestrian train accident, and an individual who was out drinking all night was walking home, and apparently he fell asleep or passed out, unfortunately, right on the train tracks. And in the morning, when the train's coming through,
train tracks. I think I'll
blow the whistle, trying to get this, gentleman off the track. They couldn't stop the train.
The locomotive, yeah.
And just as the victim woke up, he lifted up, and the train just took him out.
See, now to me, like his last vision is like this locomotive coming for him, and I'm sure he just said like, "Oh shit." What was left of him?
Right. Not a lot. He was
like from the waist down. Was that all that was left of him, or just a pair of legs?
It was a long, long time ago. I just remember that he was just sprayed all over the place. He got hit by a train.
Oh boy! And you don't think people placed him there? Because I knew of a woman who told me that her brother was so obnoxious at this bar one night, about 10 years ago or something like that. The guys in the bar just couldn't take it anymore, and and he was all drunk, and they picked him up and they put him on the train tracks, and he got run over, and he's paraplegic now. But that happens. I mean, people, like if it's a biker bar or a roadhouse or something like that, and you're obnoxious, they'll pick you up and they'll put you on a train on the train tracks, thinking you're going to get killed, and you're not going to say, the dead people don't speak except in forensics. But so it happens.
Not in this case.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
So yeah, you don't know. Anyway, I think that's a fascinating story. I'm writing about it. I just think, and you, when was the first time you saw a dead body? Did it shock you? I mean, you probably saw dead bodies when you were training, but I mean, the first crime scene dead body. Did it shock you? Were you like, I can't take the smell. I can't,
No. Some people have a hard time with the smell. I've been to many autopsies, been to many unattended deaths that have a terrible smell. That never seemed to bother me. No. I think the worst tragedy one of the worst that I ever saw was in a mother and her daughter were coming home from school.
Oh boy.
And I was an investigator at the time. And for some reason, they went across double yellow and got taken out by a dump truck.
Oh, geez.
And
The two of them?
so mom and her daughter, and she was also pregnant at the time.
Oh,
So then her parents show up, and it was just a sad scene. So yeah.
were they able to be identified, or were they?
Oh yeah, it was just tragic.
Yeah, at least it was probably quick. See, I think something like that, that's like God intervenes and says, like, you know what, this is your time, and I'm going to make it quick. And even though it looks bad, I'm just going to take you, because the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and those of us who survive to see it happen, it's not going to be a pretty ending. So I think maybe sometimes he cherry picks, like, you've led a good life, I'll take you now.
Right.
You never know. I guess
you go with that.
I'll go with that. Yeah. You go with the cop version. So now you're retired. And now
years old.
You're wow. Imagine that. So you're a lot older than me.
No, how old are you?
I'm 59. Big difference between there's 59 and then there's 60. There's 59, then there's 60.
Yeah. No, you have to retire at 60 with the troopers. Yeah. But yeah, I just turned 60, but a lot of people think I look younger, and I attribute that to fitness.
Now you're an athlete. Yeah, I wanted to segue to that. Like how often do you work out, and what's your typical personal workout like?
So I'm working out more now than I probably ever have consistently, because it's my business. But normally for me, working out is like brushing my teeth. It's something that needs to be done on a daily basis.
Right. I agree with you. Otherwise you don't feel right.
Right. It gives me that energy to, it just makes me feel better for the whole day. And if I don't work out, I feel sluggish all day long.
Right.
But with that said, you have to listen to your body, and when your body gets tired, you have to take a rest.
Right.
And normally for me, that's probably on Sunday, which doesn't mean I don't go for like an easy bike ride, or I don't play pickleball, or I might play a game of golf. But I'm not lifting weights, and I'm not running a marathon or doing that type of thing every day.
You're still active. And you ski?
Yeah. I do. I love to ski. I'm going to Calgary in February. I can't wait.
Wow. That's going to be quite the exciting trip. Different skiing out west than it is in the east. I've only done it once. And 30. In fact, when I skied out west, they were having a drought, and the snow was still like all powder and all this. So you're gonna love it probably. And you're big on pickleball now too, right? I've never done the pickleball.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm very well. I grew up with 4 older brothers, and I'm the daughter of a bricklayer. Something that Vince and I have in common.
Yeah, my dad was a bricklayer, and my grandfather.
Bricklayer as well. And
so why we have these muscles? I bet your bicep isn't nearly as pronounced as mine. Oh, it is.
I got one.
It is. Yeah, very good. See, she does work. I had to do that just.
I know. You just were.
Because this is my show. My show.
Yeah.
Not yours. Yeah. My show.
Yeah. But no, tomboy, right? Grew up with 4 older brothers. I mean, I think I've told you this story before, that in the summer when children actually went outside to play.
Right.
My brothers and I were trying to be creative, and we thought we would do a snowball war in the middle of the summer. So we took our saucers, those silver whatever, and we set them up like a blockade. We hid behind them, and instead of snowballs, we used rocks. I don't know who came up with that idea, until my brother Tom took one on the top.
Started bleeding all over.
I've always been a 4-sport athlete in high school and very competitive. And pickleball, I didn't think I'd like it, but it's very addicting, and it's a lot of lateral movement. So you have to be careful the older you get.
Right.
But it's a really good workout, good cardio workout, and just good for your hand-eye coordination. It's just the most important thing as you age is to keep moving. If you sit on a couch and watch TV and you don't get up and walk or lift weights,
Right.
You're defeating.
Right. Now, you've become a certified personal trainer, certified life coach person deal.
Yep. So I'm certified through NASM and to be a personal trainer and to teach classes. I'm a life coach. In New York State, you don't really need a license to be a life coach. However, I am in the process of obtaining that. But I really think that my 36 years of boots on the ground experience in law enforcement as a female in a leadership role, and I am still currently teaching at SUNY Albany online.
Is there anything you don't do?
Pardon me?
Is there anything you don't do?
I just got done making cookies.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, but I really feel I have, that's what my role is now, is to mentor not only young females, but males.
Excellent.
And work with the community that I live in, bringing fitness back to many. In fact, a lot of the women in my classes have told me that I've changed their life, meaning that, I brought exercise back into it, and now they have energy, and they're out running, and they're out walking, and they're lifting weights.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Excellent. So you have a new website, Gold Patrol. I understand you have a new blog every Friday, usually. Are you ever, seeing as I'm trying to bring this back to the writer's life a little bit, are you ever going to write a book, you think?
I've been thinking about that lately. Yeah, a book of, I wish.
You could put your blogs together, or you could, and write an introduction and about you, you could do anything you want these days.
Right. And I kind of want to put something together about my history in law enforcement, but I'm still thinking about that, pondering it.
Right. Just to be clear, you were the top female at one point, or you were close to it?
So in the New York State Police, there's only been 3 females that have risen to that full bird colonel.
Okay.
I'm one of 3.
Okay, great.
I wasn't the highest female ranking in the New York State Police.
Yeah.
Another very successful female from the Albany area made it to first deputy.
Right.
So, but only 3 of us have made it to the rank of colonel, and I am one of the 3.
One last question before we. How did you feel about the defund the police act, or nonsense that they pushed? And how do you feel about it then? It seems like they're quietly back to supporting the police because law enforcement has crime is just rampant in this country.
I don't like to get into politics by any means. However, that's just crazy to me. Without, law and order and rules and regulations,
you don't have a country.
You have chaos.
Right.
And so I just don't get that or understand that. And now, we're suffering and we're seeing the repercussions from all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything goes in cycles, right?
Right.
And so I think law enforcement is going to come back, and it's unfortunate. I was thinking about this the other day. It only takes one bad apple in a basket, right? I probably messed up that expression. So we have, a law enforcement officer, a police officer that made a poor decision.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that 99% of the rest of us who are out there trying to serve our communities are going to make that same decision.
Yeah, yeah.
We're out there to serve our communities, to protect our communities, and to enforce the law so that we can all live in a safe environment.
Right. No one should have to go. No one should have to be afraid You shouldn't have to be carrying around your weapon all the time. You should feel safe for yourself, your children and grandchildren, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, these people are lunatics on the left fringe. They're out of their minds. And these are the same people who believe that, men can lactate, that they believe that we can survive a limited nuclear strike. These are the same people who push this nonsense, and they live in gated communities, most of them, and they're on the take with the military-industrial complex. But that's for another show. All right.
But then again, a lot of these people,
people elect
boots
them.
on the ground experience. Do they have that boots on the ground experience?
No, and then most of them don't. Yeah.
No.
Almost none of them, including Uncle Joe, who was at ground zero the next day after 9/11, or so he says. No, he lied about that one.
Oh, was he?
No, he lied. I was there. I was looking in the eye of the devil. He was on the floor in the Senate.
The sad part about that is when people, maybe in his mind he believes he was there.
He probably does at this point.
I know
He's so
lot of law enforcement individuals, individuals within the fire department,
right, who lost their lives.
Individuals in those support agencies that are dying, or they're losing their lives now because they were there at ground zero for days, for weeks, breathing in those fumes.
Right.
And now they're dying of cancers related to 9/11.
And for sure, and I think this is the way we can end it up because it's getting a little long, but if you were down there, if that was part of your detail, for sure, you would have been running toward it to help people.
A lot of our troopers were down there. Maybe not when it actually happened, but within hours. And then
I'm sure. I guess what I'm saying is, for sure, if you were there as those buildings were still standing but burning, and you would have been you wouldn't have batted an eye. You would have run toward the buildings to help people out.
Right.
So it would have cost you. It would have cost you your life. Do you ever think about that?
That's what I signed up to do.
That's what you signed up.
And that's what I would still do today.
Sure.
Whether I'm still working or not working, I see someone in trouble and I'm going to go help.
Yeah. Well, I think with that's a perfect ending. Again, this is what you get with the writer's life, the new writer's life. We're not going to just interview writers. That's for other channels, like what's your plot and all this sort of stuff. I want to interview people who actually have made a life for themselves and who have an interesting story to tell and who have lived it, who have actually lived this stuff. And certainly Colonel Mary Clark has. Go to her website, goalpatrol727.com, goal patrol, no space, 727.com, or if you Google Mary Clark, Clarke,
no E.
Okay, Clark. Now for the hearing impaired. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, so that's where they can find you.
Yes.
Goal Patrol.
And sign up for my online classes. You'll love them.
Yep. We're global, so if you're in Mongolia right now and you feel like you've been eating a little bit too much goat cheese and you can't fit into that burqa the same way you used to, sign up for Mary's course. We're translated into Mongolian, so don't worry about that.
All right.
Now you're going to get flooded with people from Mongolia.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's good.
That's good. You'll be doing your Zoom classes or whatever. You're going to be doing your classes at like 2 a.m.
No.
All right, Mary. It's been great.
They can watch the recorded version.
There you go. All right, it's been great talking to you.
All right, thank you for having me.
I will talk to everybody, God willing, tomorrow. Don't forget. Ciao, ciao.